Detective Sarah Mitchell sat at her desk in the Portland Police Department, staring at her computer screen. It was a cold October morning in 2024, and rain pattered against the windows of the Missing Persons Unit. Sarah had been a detective for 12 years, and she had learned to trust her instincts. Right now, those instincts were telling her something was very wrong. On her screen were photos of graffiti. Normally, graffiti cases went to a different department, but these weren't normal graffiti pieces. Sarah had stumbled upon them by accident 3 days ago, while reviewing street camera footage for an unrelated case. What she saw made her stop and look closer. The first piece of graffiti appeared on an abandoned warehouse wall on October 3rd. It showed a dark blue background with strange white dots and dashes scattered across it. Most people would think it was just abstract art. But Sarah's father had been in the Navy, and he had taught her Morse code when she was young. Those dots and dashes weren't random. They spelled something, SOS. Sarah had felt a chill run down her spine when she realized it. She printed the image and started looking for more. She found the second piece 2 days later in another part of the city. This one was on the side of an old factory building. Again, there were dots and dashes hidden in the design. Again, they spelled SOS. But this time there was something else. Numbers. When Sarah wrote them down, she realized they looked like coordinates, GPS coordinates. She found the third piece, then a fourth, then a fifth. All of them appeared in abandoned areas around Portland. Empty warehouses, closed factories, old industrial buildings that nobody used anymore. Each piece had the same signature at the bottom, a small tag that read Echo 47. Sarah spread a map of Portland across her desk. She marked each location where the graffiti appeared, red pins for each spot. When she connected them with string, a pattern emerged. The locations formed a line, moving from the city center toward the outskirts, toward the industrial district on the eastern edge of Portland. Still looking at those spray paint pictures, her partner, Detective James Rodriguez, walked past her desk with a cup of coffee. He glanced at her map and shook his head. Sarah, it's just street art. Kids with too much time and spray paint. Look at the dates, James. Sarah pointed to her notes. October 3rd, October 6th, October 9th, October 12th, October 15th, October 18th, October 21st. 7 pieces in 3 weeks. All in abandoned areas. All with Morse code spelling SOS. James leaned closer, squinting at the photos. Morse code? Are you sure? My dad taught me when I was 10. I'm sure. Sarah pulled up a close-up of one piece. And look at these numbers hidden in the design. They're coordinates. Someone is trying to tell us where they are. James frowned. He wasn't dismissing her anymore. You think someone is trapped? Leaving messages through graffiti? I don't know what to think. But I know this isn't normal street art. Sarah tapped her pen against the desk. Street artists want their work seen. They put it in busy areas, under bridges where people walk, on buildings downtown. Why would someone put careful, detailed artwork in places where almost nobody goes? Maybe they don't want to get caught, James suggested. Then why make it so detailed? Why spend time creating something elaborate? Sarah shook her head. No, whoever made these wanted them found. They just couldn't make them in busy areas. They had limited time and limited access to the outside world. James pulled up a chair. Okay, say you're right. Say someone is leaving these as messages. Who and why graffiti? Sarah had been thinking about this for days. Someone young, probably. Someone who knows street art. Someone who knows Morse code, which is unusual. And someone who's desperate enough to take huge risks to leave these messages. She pulled up another photo. Look at this one. The artist used at least 4 different colors. Blue, white, red, and yellow. The technique is good. Really good. This person has skills. They've done street art before. James studied the image. So we're looking for a young person, probably a teenager or young adult who's into street art and somehow knows Morse code. And who's been missing from their normal life for at least 3 weeks. Sarah opened another file on her computer. I started cross-referencing, looking at missing persons reports filed in the past 2 months in the Portland area. The screen showed 12 faces, young people who had disappeared. Some were runaways. Some had family problems. Some just vanished without explanation. Sarah had been reading their files, trying to find a connection to street art or graffiti. This is a long shot, James said quietly. I know. Sarah leaned back in her chair. But what if I'm right? What if one of these kids is out there, trapped, leaving the only messages they can. Before James could respond, Sarah's desk phone rang. She picked it up. Mitchell, missing persons. Detective Mitchell? My name is Marcus Chen. I'm a blogger. I write about street art in Portland. The voice on the other end sounded young, maybe mid-20s. I saw you took photos of some graffiti pieces around the city. The one signed Echo 47. Sarah sat up straight. Yes, do you know something about them? I've been documenting them too. I run a blog called Portland Street Canvas. I photograph and write about local street art. Marcus paused. Detective, I think something is wrong with these pieces. I've been in the street art scene for 6 years. I know most of the local artists. Nobody knows who Echo 47 is, and the locations are weird. Street artists don't work in those areas. Can you come to the station? Sarah asked. I'd like to talk to you in person. I can be there in 30 minutes. After Sarah hung up, James looked at her. A street art blogger? Someone who might actually know the local art scene. Sarah started organizing her photos. Someone who might be able to tell us more about these pieces. Marcus Chen arrived 27 minutes later. He was a thin young man with black hair and glasses, carrying a laptop bag covered in stickers. Sarah and James met him in an interview room. Thanks for coming in, Sarah said as they sat down. You said you've been documenting these graffiti pieces? Marcus opened his laptop. Yeah, I noticed the first one 3 weeks ago. It caught my attention because of the location and the style. It was really well done, but it was in a place where almost nobody would see it. That's unusual. He turned the laptop to show them his blog. The screen displayed photos of the same graffiti pieces Sarah had found, along with detailed notes about each one. I kept looking for more. I found 6 of them so far. I was going to write a blog post about the mystery artist, but then I noticed something. Marcus zoomed in on one of the photos. These aren't just random designs. There's a pattern in the dots and dashes. I didn't realize it at first, but my girlfriend studies linguistics. She recognized it as Morse code. Sarah exchanged a glance with James. What did it say? SOS. Every single piece has SOS hidden in it. Marcus looked between them. That's when I decided to call the police. This isn't art for art's sake. Someone is calling for help. Sarah felt her instincts had been right. Have you noticed anything else about the pieces? Any other patterns? Marcus nodded. The paint. I know most of the brands local artists use. These pieces use Montana Gold spray paint. It's expensive, high quality, and the technique. He pulled up another photo. See this blending here? And the way the lines are so clean? This artist has serious skills. They've been doing this for years, not months. So we're looking for an experienced street artist, James said. Yeah, someone really good. Marcus scrolled through more photos. And there's something else. The timing. I checked the weather reports and some security cameras in the area. These pieces all appeared in the early morning, between 3 and 5 a.m., always during that window. Sarah made notes. What about the signature? Echo 47. Does that mean anything in the street art community? I've asked around. Nobody recognizes it. No one has seen this artist before. Marcus closed his laptop. Detective, I think whoever is making these is in serious trouble. The locations, the timing, the desperate message. Someone is trapped and trying to tell us where they are. Sarah looked at the map on her laptop screen, at the red pins marking each graffiti location. 7 pieces, 7 calls for help, 7 moments when someone managed to get outside, grabbed spray paint and left a message before they had to disappear again. We need to find Echo 47, she said, before it's too late. John Cena woke up at 5 in the morning in his hotel room at the Portland Marriott downtown. This was normal for him. Even when he traveled for WWE events and charity work, he kept to his strict routine. Wake up early, work out, eat a healthy breakfast, and check the news before his day started. He was in Portland for a special charity event. The Oregon Convention Center was hosting a fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. John had worked with Make-A-Wish for over 20 years. He had granted more wishes than any other celebrity in the organization's history. Over 650 wishes. It was the work he was most proud of. As he ate his breakfast and scrolled through his phone, a local news story caught his attention. The headline read, Mystery graffiti contains hidden SOS messages. Police ask for public's help. John stopped chewing and read the article carefully. It described a series of graffiti pieces found around Portland. Each one contained Morse code spelling SOS. The article included photos of the artwork. The pieces were beautiful in a desperate kind of way, dark colors with hidden messages. A signature that read Echo 47. The article explained that Detective Sarah Mitchell from the Missing Persons Unit was investigating. She believed someone was trapped and leaving the graffiti as distress signals. The police were asking anyone with information to come forward. John put down his phone and stared out the window at the Portland skyline. Something about this story bothered him. No, not bothered. It pulled at something deep inside him. He had spent decades working with missing children cases through Make-A-Wish and other organizations. He knew the statistics. He knew how crucial the first few weeks were when someone went missing. He picked up his phone again and called his head of security, Rick Martinez. Rick had been with John for 8 years and handled all his travel and safety arrangements. "Rick, are you awake?" "I am now, boss." "What's up?" Rick's voice was thick with sleep. "I need you to look into something. There's a case here in Portland. Missing person. Detective Sarah Mitchell, Portland PD, Missing Persons Unit. I want to help." There was a pause. Rick knew better than to question when John got focused on something like this. "I'll make some calls. Give me an hour." John spent that hour working out in the hotel gym, but his mind wasn't on the exercises. It was on those graffiti pieces. On someone desperate enough to leave hidden messages in the middle of the night. On a person calling for help in the only way they could. Rick called back while John was on the treadmill. "I talked to a contact in Portland PD. Detective Mitchell is the real deal. Been working the case for almost a week. She's convinced someone is in trouble. The department isn't giving her much support. They think it's just street art. Can you set up a meeting?" John asked. "Already done. She can see you at 10 a.m. at the police station. I told her you wanted to help, not do a publicity stunt." She was skeptical but agreed to meet. At exactly 10 a.m., John walked into the Portland Police Department with Rick. He wore jeans, a simple t-shirt, and a baseball cap. He wanted to keep this low-key. This wasn't about cameras or attention. This was about helping. Detective Sarah Mitchell met them in the lobby. She was in her late 30s with short brown hair and sharp eyes that studied John carefully. She shook his hand with a firm grip. "Mr. Cena, I'll be honest. I'm not sure how a celebrity can help with a missing person case." John smiled. "Call me John, please. And I understand your skepticism, but I've worked with over 650 missing and sick children through Make-A-Wish. I've partnered with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for 15 years. I have resources and a platform that might help get attention on this case." Sarah's expression softened slightly. "Come to my office. I'll show you what we have." In Sarah's office, John met Marcus Chen, the street art blogger, and Detective James Rodriguez. Sarah spread out all the photos of the graffiti pieces on a conference table. John studied each one carefully. "These are incredible," he said quietly. "The artist is really talented, and really desperate," Marcus added. "I've been in the street art scene for years. This isn't normal. Artists don't work in these locations. They don't hide Morse code in their pieces." Sarah pointed to her map with the red pins. 7 pieces over 3 weeks. All in abandoned areas. All with SOS messages. "And look at this." She showed John a close-up of numbers hidden in the designs. "GPS coordinates. We think whoever is making these is trying to tell us where they are." "But you don't know who they are yet?" John asked. "Not yet. We're working through missing persons reports, looking for someone with connections to street art." Sarah pulled up files on her computer. "The problem is resources. Missing person cases are hard. We have limited manpower, and the department doesn't see this as high priority. They think I'm reading too much into spray paint." John leaned back in his chair, thinking, what if we change that? What if we make this case impossible to ignore? Sarah looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I have 42 million followers on social media. Dewey has millions more. If we put these images out there, if we ask for help publicly, we'll get attention. Lots of it." John pulled out his phone. "Someone out there knows who Echo 47 is. Someone has seen something. We just need to reach them," James spoke up. "That could be risky. If whoever is holding this person sees we're looking, they might panic. Or they might realize we're close and make a mistake," John countered. "Right now they think nobody knows. They think these graffiti pieces are invisible. If we shine a light on this, they'll know we're coming." Sarah was quiet for a moment. John could see her weighing the options. Finally, she nodded. "Okay, let's do it. But we do it right. A proper press conference. Professional. We explain the situation and ask for specific help. That afternoon, the Portland Police Department held a press conference. The room was packed with reporters. Local news, national news, even international outlets showed up because John Cena was there. Sarah stepped up to the microphone first. She was nervous, John could tell, but her voice was steady. 3 weeks ago, a series of graffiti pieces began appearing in abandoned areas around Portland. At first, they seemed like normal street art. But upon closer inspection, we discovered hidden messages. Morse code spelling SOS, GPS coordinates. We believe these pieces are distress signals from someone who is trapped and calling for help. She put up photos of the graffiti on screens behind her. The cameras flashed as reporters took pictures. We are asking for the public's help. If you recognize the style of this artwork, if you know who might be creating these pieces, if you have seen anything suspicious in these areas, please contact the Portland Police Department immediately. Then John stepped up to the microphone. The room got even more quiet. My name is John Cena. I'm here because I've spent 20 years working with missing children and families in crisis. This case matters. Someone out there is desperate enough to leave these messages in the middle of the night, in places where they might not be found. That takes courage. That takes hope. He looked directly at the cameras. If you're the person leaving these messages, we see you. We're looking for you. Don't give up. And if anyone watching this knows anything at all, please help us. Share these images. Look at them carefully. Someone out there knows who Echo 47 is. The press conference went viral within hours. John posted the graffiti images on his social media accounts. The WWE official accounts shared them. News outlets ran the story nationally. By evening, the hashtag Echo 47 was trending on Twitter. Sarah's desk phone didn't stop ringing. Tips came in from everywhere. People who thought they recognized the art style. People who had seen suspicious activity in those areas. People who just wanted to help. Most of the tips led nowhere. But some were interesting. A woman called saying she had seen someone spray painting near one of the locations at 4 a.m. 2 weeks ago. She hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now she wondered. A truck driver called saying he regularly drove past some of those abandoned warehouses for his route. He had noticed lights in one building that was supposed to be empty. As night fell, John sat with Sarah, James, and Marcus in the police station, going through tips. He had canceled his evening plans. The charity event could wait. This was more important. This one, Sarah said, highlighting a message on her computer. A truck driver named Robert Lee. He drives a route that passes 3 of our graffiti locations. He says there's an old warehouse complex on the east side that's supposed to be foreclosed and empty. But he's seen lights there sometimes. Early morning. Between 3 and 5 a.m., John leaned forward. That matches when the graffiti appears. Exactly. Sarah pulled up property records. The warehouse complex is owned by a company called Castellano Properties. The owner is Richard Castellano, real estate developer. The company went bankrupt 8 months ago. The properties have been sitting empty since then. Marcus looked at the location on Google Maps. That's near where 3 of the graffiti pieces appeared. Within walking distance, James was already making calls. I'm getting a warrant to check property records. See who has access to that building. John felt his heart beating faster. This was it. They were close. After 3 weeks of hidden messages, after 7 desperate pieces of art, they had a lead. Sarah looked at him. Thank you for using your platform, for caring. We got more tips in 6 hours than we would have gotten in 6 months. Don't thank me yet, John said. Let's find Echo 47 first, his phone buzzed. Messages from people all over the world who had seen his posts. People offering to help. People sharing the story. People refusing to let this person be forgotten. John thought about all the wishes he had granted over the years. All the sick children he had met. All the families in crisis he had helped. This was different, but it felt the same. Someone needed help. And John Cena didn't walk away from people who needed help. We're going to find them, he said, more to himself than to the others. Whoever you are, Echo 47, we're coming. Hold on just a little longer. The morning after the press conference, Sarah's team gathered in a conference room at the Portland Police Department. The room was bigger now. More people had joined the investigation. John Cena sat at the table, determined to see this through. Marcus Chen was there with his laptop and detailed notes about street art. And now they had someone new. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked into the room carrying a briefcase and a laptop. She was a cryptographer who taught at Portland State University. She specialized in codes and hidden messages. When she saw the news about the graffiti, she had called the police station immediately. Detective Mitchell? Elena shook Sarah's hand. I'm Dr. Rodriguez. I analyze codes and patterns for the FBI sometimes. When I saw those graffiti images on the news last night, I couldn't sleep. There's more in those pieces than just Morse code. Sarah gestured to a chair. Please sit down.
What did you see?
Elena opened her laptop and pulled up high-resolution images of the graffiti pieces. The Morse code was clever, hiding SOS in dots and dashes that look like abstract art. But Morse code is almost too obvious once you know to look for it. I think whoever created these wanted to make sure we found the first message. But I believe there's a second message hidden deeper. She zoomed in on one of the graffiti pieces. Look at the colors. Blue, white, red, and yellow. 4 colors used in very specific patterns. At first I thought it was just artistic choice. But look here. She pointed to sections of the artwork. The colors repeat in sequences: blue, blue, white, red, white, white, blue, yellow. John leaned closer. Are you saying the colors are a code too? I think so. Let me show you something. Elena pulled up all 7 graffiti pieces side by side. Each piece uses the same 4 colors, but in different patterns. If we assign numbers to the colors, we might find another message. Marcus pulled out his notes. I documented the exact colors used. Montana gold spray paint, shock blue, Arctic white, ginger red, and melon yellow. The same 4 colors in every piece. For the next hour, Elena worked on decoding the color patterns. She tried different systems. Assigning numbers, letters, using color theory. Sarah watched, feeling the tension build. They were so close to something important. Finally, Elena sat back. I've got it. It's not letters. It's numbers. And these numbers are coordinates and timestamps. She turned her laptop to show everyone. The Morse code gave us GPS coordinates for general areas. But these color patterns give us something more specific. They're telling us days and times, specific moments. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. Can you decode all of them? I already did. Elena pulled up a spreadsheet. October 3rd, 4:17 a.m. October 6th, 3:52 a.m. October 9th, 4:33 a.m. Each graffiti piece marks a specific date and time. The artist wasn't just telling us where they are. They were documenting when they could get outside. When they had access to make these pieces. James looked at the list. These are all early morning times. Between 3:30 and 5 a.m. narrow windows. Exactly, Elena said. Whoever is making these only has brief moments of freedom. They're documenting those moments possibly so we can establish a pattern. John stood up and walked to the window. His mind was racing. They're smart. Really smart. They're not just calling for help. They're giving us their schedule. Telling us when they might be vulnerable or when their captor might be distracted. Sarah pulled out the case files she had been reviewing. Missing persons reports from the past 2 months. 12 young people from the Portland area. She spread their photos across the table. We need to narrow this down. We're looking for someone who knows street art, knows Morse code, and knows cryptography. That's a specific skill set. Marcus studied the photos. As someone in the street art community, he might recognize faces. He picked up several photos and set them aside. These 3. I've seen them around the art scene. This is Jennifer Kim. She does murals downtown. This is Alex Torres. He's into stencil art. And this one, Marcus held up a photo of a teenage boy with dark hair and glasses. This is Tyler Matthews. I don't know him personally, but I've seen his work on Instagram. He's really talented. Sarah pulled Tyler's file. Tyler Matthews, 17 years old. Disappeared 6 weeks ago on September 15th. Last seen leaving art class at Franklin High School. He was skateboarding home. Never made it, she read more from the file. His mother, Jennifer Matthews, reported him missing the next day. Tyler was a good student. No trouble with the law, no drugs, no reason to run away. He lived with his mother and younger sister. His father passed away 5 years ago. John picked up Tyler's photo. The boy looked young, artistic. He wore a paint-stained hoodie in the picture. Tell me more about him. Sarah flipped through the pages. He was taking advanced art classes. His teachers said he was exceptionally talented. He wanted to go to art school after high school. He did some street art, according to his mother. Legal stuff with permission. Murals for local businesses. What about the Morse code? James asked. Where would a 17-year-old learn that? Sarah found the detail in the notes. His grandfather. Tyler's grandfather was in the Navy. Stephen Matthews. He lived with the family until he passed away 2 years ago. According to Jennifer Matthews, her father taught Tyler Morse code when Tyler was younger. It was something they did together. Elena looked at more details. And the cryptography? The color code system is sophisticated. Not something most teenagers would know. Marcus was already searching on his laptop. Tyler Matthews. Let me check his social media. He pulled up an Instagram account. Here, this is his art account. Look at his pieces. The account showed dozens of photos. Street art, murals, canvas paintings. The style was distinctive. Clean lines, bold colors, abstract designs that had hidden meaning. In several pieces, Tyler had hidden words and symbols in the artwork. He likes codes, Marcus said. Look at this mural. It says hope. But you have to look at it from a certain angle to see the word. And this one has numbers hidden in the design. The date his grandfather died. Tyler liked putting secret messages in his art. Sarah felt everything clicking into place. Echo 47, could that mean something? John pulled out his phone and searched. Echo is the phonetic alphabet for the letter E, used in military and naval communication. Tyler's grandfather was Navy. He would have known that. And 47? James wondered. Marcus was looking at Tyler's Instagram again. Wait, look at this post from last year. Tyler painted a portrait of his grandfather for a school project. The caption says, for Grandpa Stephen, who served 47 years ago in Vietnam. Miss you every day. The room went silent. Echo 47 wasn't just a random signature. It was personal. It was a message from Tyler to his grandfather. A connection to the man who taught him Morse code and probably inspired his love of hidden messages. It's him, Sarah said quietly. Tyler Matthews is Echo 47. John immediately stood up. We need to talk to his mother. She needs to know we're looking for him, that we haven't given up. An hour later, Sarah, John, James, and Marcus arrived at a small house in a quiet Portland neighborhood. Jennifer Matthews opened the door. She was a thin woman in her 40s with tired eyes. When she saw the group of people on her porch, hope and fear crossed her face. Mrs. Matthews, I'm Detective Sarah Mitchell. We spoke when Tyler first went missing. This is Detective Rodriguez, Marcus Chen, and John Cena. May we come in? Jennifer let them inside. The house was modest but clean. Photos of Tyler and his younger sister covered the walls. Tyler's artwork hung in several frames. A 10-year-old girl sat on the couch watching them with wide eyes. Mia, go to your room for a bit, honey, Jennifer said softly. The girl left reluctantly, looking back at John Cena with amazement. They sat in the living room. Jennifer's hand shook as she folded them in her lap. Have you found him? Please tell me you found him. Sarah leaned forward. Mrs. Matthews, we believe Tyler is alive, and we believe he's been trying to contact us. She showed Jennifer the photos of the graffiti pieces. Jennifer's hand flew to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. That's Tyler's work. I know his style. Oh God, where is he? John spoke gently. We think he's being held somewhere against his will. But he's smart. He's been leaving messages, calling for help using the Morse code his grandfather taught him. Echo 47, Jennifer whispered. His grandfather. Stephen was so proud of Tyler. They spent hours together. Stephen taught him everything. Morse code, nautical flags, navigation. Tyler loved it. He said it made him feel close to his grandfather after he died. Sarah asked careful questions. Did Tyler have any problems at school? Any conflicts? Anyone who might want to hurt him? Jennifer shook her head. Tyler was quiet. He had a few close friends. He wasn't popular, but he wasn't bullied either. He just liked his art. He spent most of his time painting or skateboarding to different spots around the city to practice his art. Did he ever mention someone bothering him, following him? Anything unusual in the weeks before he disappeared? Jennifer thought hard. There was one thing. About a month before Tyler disappeared, he mentioned a boy from school. Derek Castellano. He said Derek kept trying to be friends with him, but Tyler found him strange. Too intense. Derek would show up wherever Tyler was. The skate park, the art store outside our house. Tyler asked him to back off, but Derek didn't take it well. Sarah and James exchanged a glance. Castellano. The same last name as the owner of the abandoned warehouse complex. Mrs. Matthews, do you know Derek's relation to Richard Castellano? The real estate developer? Derek is Richard's nephew, I think. Tyler mentioned Derek lived with his uncle because his parents had problems. Something about drugs. Derek's uncle was trying to help him, giving him a place to stay. Sarah stood up, her mind racing. Mrs. Matthews, we're going to find Tyler, I promise you. He's incredibly brave. Those graffiti pieces took courage and intelligence. He's fighting to come home. John knelt down next to Jennifer. Your son is a hero. He didn't give up. He found a way to reach out, to call for help. We see his messages. And we're coming for him. Jennifer grabbed John's hand. Please, he's all I have. Him and Mia, please bring my boy home. We will, John said firmly. I promise you. We will. As they left the house and walked to their cars, Sarah was already on the phone. I need everything on Derek Castellano. Full background check. Current address, everything. James was calling the station. Get me property records for all Castellano holdings. I want to know every building Richard Castellano owns or has access to. Marcus looked at John. You really think we'll find him? John looked back at the house, at the window where a small girl watched them with hopeful eyes. We don't have a choice. Tyler is out there fighting to survive. We're going to finish what he started. We're going to bring him home. Derek Castellano's background check came back within hours, and what Sarah read made her blood run cold. She sat at her desk with James, John, and Marcus gathered around her computer screen. Derek Castellano, age 22, dropped out of Portland Community College 3 years ago. Multiple complaints filed against him by classmates. Harassment, stalking behaviors. Nothing that led to charges, but a clear pattern. Sarah scrolled through the file. His parents lost custody when he was 16 due to drug abuse. He went to live with his uncle, Richard Castellano. James pointed to another section. Look at this. Expelled from Franklin High School 5 years ago for violent behavior. He attacked another student in the cafeteria. The student had rejected Derek's friendship. That's Tyler's school, Marcus said quietly. Franklin High School. Tyler goes there. Sarah pulled up more records. Derek worked odd jobs for his uncle's real estate company. Maintenance, security, property management. When the company went bankrupt 8 months ago, Derek was listed as still having access to several properties for caretaking purposes. John leaned closer to the screen. Which properties? Sarah clicked through the files. 12 buildings total. Most are commercial properties in various states of foreclosure. But this one, she highlighted an entry. Warehouse complex on East Columbia Boulevard. The same location the truck driver called about. The one where he saw lights at 3 a.m. James pulled up satellite images of the property on his laptop. The warehouse complex consisted of 4 large buildings surrounded by a chain-link fence. The area was industrial, isolated. Empty lots and abandoned factories surrounded it. Not many people came through this area, especially at night. It's perfect for hiding someone, John said grimly. Isolated, no neighbors, buildings that are supposed to be empty. Sarah stood up. We need surveillance on that property, now. And we need to find Derek Castellano. Already on it, James said, phone to his ear. I'm getting a team together. We'll set up surveillance around the perimeter. If anyone enters or exits that complex, we'll know. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had been working at another desk, walked over with her laptop. I've been analyzing Tyler's timestamps more carefully. The color codes that told us when he made each graffiti piece. I found another pattern. She showed them a chart. Look at the times. October 3rd at 4:17 a.m. October 6th at 3:52 a.m. October 9th at 4:33 a.m. The times vary, but they're all in a similar window. Between 3:30 and 5 a.m., I think this is when Derek sleeps, or when he's distracted somehow. These are Tyler's windows of opportunity. So Tyler can't get outside during normal hours, Marcus said. He has to wait for these early morning moments when Derek isn't watching him. But how does he get spray paint? John asked. How does he have access to art supplies if he's being held prisoner? Sarah thought about this. The warehouse complex stored equipment for Castellano properties, property maintenance supplies. There might be spray paint there. Paint for touch-ups, repairs. If Tyler is locked somewhere in that complex, he might have found supplies during one of his escape moments. James got off the phone. Surveillance team is heading to the location now. They'll set up cameras and monitor the property. We should have eyes on it within the hour. Good. Sarah pulled up a photo of Derek Castellano from his driver's license. He was a pale young man with dark, hollow eyes and messy brown hair. He looked thin, unhealthy. I want this photo sent to every police officer in Portland. Derek Castellano is now a person of interest in Tyler Matthews' disappearance. If anyone sees him, they report immediately. Don't approach. Just report. John was staring at Tyler's Instagram page on Marcus's laptop. Photos of artwork, skateboarding, hanging out with friends. A normal teenage life that had been violently interrupted 6 weeks ago. We need to move carefully. If Derek realizes we're onto him, he might panic. He might hurt Tyler. I know. Sarah felt the weight of that possibility. But we also can't wait too long. Tyler has been held for 6 weeks. We don't know what condition he's in. We don't know how much danger he's in. Marcus looked at the graffiti photos spread across the conference table. 7 pieces, 7 desperate messages. Tyler is still fighting. He hasn't given up. Even after 6 weeks, he's still trying to get help. That takes incredible strength. It does, Sarah agreed. And we're going to make sure that strength pays off. The surveillance team set up around the warehouse complex. Plain cars parked in positions that gave them views of the entrances. Cameras with night vision were positioned to capture any movement. Sarah, James, John, and Marcus moved to a mobile command center parked 3 blocks away. Hours passed. They watched the screens, showing feeds from the surveillance cameras. The warehouse complex sat quiet and dark. No movement, no lights, no sign of life. Maybe we're wrong, James said as midnight approached. Maybe Derek isn't here. Maybe Tyler isn't here. Or maybe they're just being careful, John replied. He hadn't left the command center. He'd canceled all his appointments, told his manager he was staying in Portland until this was resolved. Tyler's graffiti appeared early in the morning. Between 3 and 5 a.m., we need to wait for that window. Sarah agreed. She ordered in coffee and food. They settled in for a long night. At 2:47 a.m., one of the surveillance officers radioed in. Movement on the east side of the property. Someone just pulled up in a car. Everyone in the command center came alert. Sarah focused on the camera feed. A dark sedan had parked near a side entrance to one of the warehouses. A figure got out of the car. Even in the darkness, the cameras captured enough detail. That's Derek Castellano, Sarah confirmed, comparing the figure to Derek's driver's license photo. He's carrying something. Looks like bags. Groceries, maybe. They watched Derek unlock a door with keys and disappear inside the warehouse. Lights flickered on inside, visible through dirty windows. He's definitely using this building, James said. But is Tyler in there with him? Only one way to find out, John said. We wait, we watch. And we move when the time is right. At 3:15 a.m., Derek emerged from the warehouse again. He got in his car and drove away. The surveillance team followed him at a distance. He's heading to a 24-hour gas station, the officer radioed. Looks like he's just getting gas. He's alone in the car. Sarah made a decision. This might be our chance. If Derek left Tyler alone in that warehouse, Tyler might try to escape. Or make another graffiti piece. They waited, tension building. John found himself praying, something he didn't do often. Praying that Tyler was okay, that they weren't too late, that this brave kid who fought so hard would make it home. At 3:44 a.m., a surveillance officer's voice crackled over the radio. We've got movement. Someone just came out of the warehouse. Male, looks young. He's moving fast. He's got spray paint, Sarah's heart raced. Is it Tyler? Comparing to photos now. Yes, positive ID, that's Tyler Matthews. He's heading to the wall on the north side of the property. On the camera feed, they could see Tyler. He looked thin and dirty, wearing the same paint-stained hoodie from his missing persons photo. He moved with purpose, looking over his shoulder constantly. He reached a section of wall and started spray painting. He's making another piece, Marcus said, his voice filled with emotion. He's still trying to communicate. Derek is on his way back, another officer reported. ETA 4 minutes. Tyler, run, John whispered at the screen. Please run. But Tyler didn't run. He kept painting, working fast but precisely. Even under pressure, even terrified, his art was skilled. He was leaving another message. Another clue. Derek is 2 minutes out. Tyler finished the graffiti piece and ran back toward the warehouse, disappearing inside just as Derek's car appeared in the distance. Sarah made the call. That's enough. We have visual confirmation that Tyler Matthews is being held at that location by Derek Castellano. We have enough for a warrant. I want SWAT mobilized. We're going in. When? James asked. Sarah looked at the clock. 4:03 a.m. Now, before Derek realizes we're here. Before he has time to hurt Tyler. Within 30 minutes, SWAT teams surrounded the warehouse complex. FBI agents had joined the operation. This was no longer just a local missing person case. This was a kidnapping. Derek Castellano had held Tyler Matthews prisoner for 6 weeks. Sarah, James, and John put on bulletproof vests. They wouldn't be on the entry team, but they would be right behind them, John had insisted. He'd promised Tyler's mother he would bring her son home. He intended to keep that promise. The SWAT commander briefed everyone. We have thermal imaging showing 2 people in the basement of the main warehouse. One is stationary, possibly restrained. The other is moving around. We go in fast and precise. The priority is the safety of Tyler Matthews. Understood? Everyone nodded. At 4:47 a.m., as the sun began to lighten the eastern sky, the SWAT team breached the warehouse. Sarah heard the commands over the radio. Police search warrant. Get on the ground. There were sounds of movement, shouting. Then, suspect in custody. Derek Castellano is in custody. Find Tyler, Sarah urged into her radio. Find the boy. Basement team moving now. We've located a locked door. Breaking it down. Sarah held her breath. Beside her, John gripped the edge of the command table. Marcus had tears in his eyes, then the voice over the radio that changed everything. We've got him. Tyler Matthews is alive. Repeat, Tyler Matthews is alive and responsive. Medics needed immediately. John closed his eyes, relief flooding through him. Sarah felt her knees weaken. They had done it. They had found him. I'm going in, John said, already moving. Sarah followed. They entered the warehouse, police and FBI agents everywhere. They were led to a basement entrance, down concrete steps, through a maze of old storage rooms, and then they saw him. Tyler Matthews sat on a stretcher, wrapped in a blanket. Paramedics checked his vital signs. He was thin, pale, with bruises on his face and arms. But he was alive. His eyes were alert, searching the faces around him. When Tyler saw Sarah, he focused on her. You found the graffiti, he said, his voice hoarse. You understood. Sarah knelt down in front of him. We understood. Your Morse code, your color coordinates, everything. You're incredibly brave, Tyler. You saved yourself. Tyler's eyes filled with tears. I didn't think anyone would notice. I thought I was just making art that nobody would ever see. John stepped forward. Tyler recognized him immediately, his eyes going wide. You're John Cena, John smiled. And you're Tyler Matthews, the smartest and bravest artist I've ever met. Your mom is waiting for you. So is your sister. They never stopped believing you'd come home. My mom, Tyler whispered, fresh tears falling. I want to see my mom. You will, Sarah promised. Right now. The paramedics are going to check you out, make sure you're okay, and then we're taking you home. As the paramedics loaded Tyler onto a stretcher to take him to the ambulance, Sarah looked back at the basement room where he had been held. It was a small space, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. A mattress on the floor, a bucket in the corner, graffiti supplies stacked against one wall. This had been Tyler's prison for 6 weeks, but Tyler had refused to be just a victim. He had fought back in the only way he could, with art, with intelligence, with the codes his grandfather taught him. He had called for help in a voice that only those who looked carefully could hear, and someone had listened. The ambulance carrying Tyler Matthews pulled up to Portland's Providence Hospital as dawn broke over the city. Sarah, James, and John followed close behind in a police car. Jennifer Matthews and her daughter Mia were already waiting at the hospital entrance, having been brought there by police officers who stayed with them through the night. The moment Jennifer saw the ambulance doors open and the paramedics wheel out the stretcher with her son on it, she broke down. She ran forward, her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Tyler! Tyler, baby! Tyler turned his head and saw his mother. His face crumpled with emotion. Mom, he said, his voice breaking. Mom, I'm sorry. Sorry? Sorry for what? Jennifer grabbed his hand as the paramedics kept moving toward the hospital entrance. She walked alongside the stretcher, refusing to let go. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. Oh God, my boy. My sweet boy. Mia ran up, her small face wet with tears. Tyler, you came back. You came back. Tyler reached out with his other hand to touch his sister's hair. I told you I'd never leave you, Mia. I kept my promise. Inside the hospital, doctors took Tyler immediately for examination. Sarah, John, James, and Marcus waited in a private room with Jennifer and Mia. Jennifer couldn't stop crying, couldn't stop thanking everyone. I don't know how to thank you, she said to Sarah, gripping the detective's hands. I thought I'd lost him. Every day that passed, I thought I'd never see him again. Your son saved himself, Sarah said gently. We just listened to what he was trying to tell us. Jennifer turned to John. And you used your platform. You made people pay attention. I saw the news. Millions of people shared Tyler's story because of you. John shook his head. Tyler did the hard part. He survived. He stayed smart and brave even when he must have been terrified. That takes more courage than I can imagine. A doctor came out after an hour of examination. Dr. Patricia Chen was the head of the hospital's trauma unit. She sat down with the family to explain Tyler's condition. Tyler is severely malnourished. He's lost about 25 pounds. He has bruising and some minor injuries, but nothing that won't heal. Physically, he's going to be okay with time, nutrition, and rest. Dr. Chen paused.
However, he's been through a severe trauma.
He was held captive for 6 weeks. He'll need psychological support, therapy. Time to process what happened to him. Can I see him? Jennifer asked. Of course. He's asking for you. But please know this is going to be a long recovery, not just physical, but emotional. Jennifer and Mia went into Tyler's hospital room. Sarah gave them privacy, but she watched through the window as mother and son embraced, both of them crying. Mia climbed onto the hospital bed carefully, hugging her brother. It was a reunion that made even the hardened police officers in the hallway wipe their eyes. After some time, Sarah knocked gently and entered. Tyler was sitting up in bed, his mother on one side and his sister on the other. He looked exhausted but more alert now. Tyler, I'm Detective Sarah Mitchell. I know you've been through hell, but I need to ask you some questions. Can you tell me what happened? How Derek took you? Tyler nodded slowly. It was September 15th. I was skateboarding home from art class. It was about 4 p.m. Derek pulled up next to me in his car. He said he wanted to show me something cool. An abandoned building where I could do legal graffiti. He said his uncle owned it and gave him permission to let artists use it. Jennifer's hand tightened on Tyler's. You got in his car? I know, Mom, I know it was stupid. But Derek went to Franklin High before he got expelled. I kind of knew him. Not well, but I'd seen him around. I thought it would be okay. Tyler's voice shook. We drove to the warehouse. He showed me inside. Then when I wasn't looking, he hit me. When I woke up, I was locked in that basement room. Sarah took notes carefully. Did Derek say why he took you? He said we were going to be best friends. That nobody understood him like I would. That we were both artists, both loners. I told him I wanted to go home. I said my mom would be worried. He got angry. He said his parents never cared about him. So why should my mom care about me? Tyler struggled to find words. He was sick. In his head. He thought if he kept me there long enough, I'd want to stay. That we'd be friends. How did you manage to make the graffiti pieces? John asked gently from the doorway. Tyler looked at him, still slightly starstruck. Derek had to sleep sometimes. He'd lock me in the basement room, but I found out I could pick the lock using a piece of wire I found. It took me almost 2 weeks to figure it out. After that, when Derek slept, I could get out of the room. But I couldn't get out of the building. The main doors were locked with padlocks I couldn't pick. So you used the spray paint that was stored there, Marcus said. Yeah, there were maintenance supplies everywhere, including spray paint. I thought about just breaking a window and running, but I was scared. Derek said he'd kill me if I tried to escape. He said he'd find me and hurt my family. Tyler's voice dropped. But I couldn't just do nothing. I had to try something. So you started leaving messages, Sarah said. I remembered my grandpa. He taught me Morse code when I was little. He was in the Navy. He used to say that knowing how to communicate in different ways could save your life someday. I never thought I'd actually need it. Tyler wiped his eyes. I started making graffiti pieces with SOS in Morse code. I'd sneak out when Derek was asleep, go outside, make the art as fast as I could, and get back before he woke up. I signed them Echo 47 because that's what Grandpa would have wanted. Echo for his Navy service, 47 for the year he enlisted. Jennifer was crying again, holding her son. Your grandpa would be so proud of you, Tyler, so proud. I put coordinates and times in the color patterns too, Tyler continued. I learned basic cryptography from YouTube videos before I was taken. I thought if someone smart enough found my art, they'd see more than just the Morse code. They'd see the full message. Sarah felt overwhelming respect for this teenager. Tyler, you did everything right. You stayed alive. You stayed smart. You found a way to call for help that was clever enough to reach us but subtle enough that Derek didn't notice. Did he ever see the graffiti? James asked. No, he never went outside when I made them. He slept heavy in the early morning hours. That was my only window, but I knew I was taking a huge risk every time. If he caught me, he said he'd kill me. I believed him. Tyler looked down at his hands. But I had to try. I couldn't let my mom think I just abandoned her and Mia. I had to let someone know I was alive and fighting. John sat down near the bed. Tyler, you're one of the bravest people I've ever met. And I've met soldiers, firefighters, people who run into danger for a living. What you did took intelligence, courage, and hope. You never gave up. I almost did, Tyler admitted quietly. After the fourth piece, I thought nobody would ever find them. They were in such random places. Who looks at graffiti in abandoned warehouses? But I kept trying because of what my grandpa used to say. He'd tell me, Tyler, you never stop fighting. Even when it seems hopeless, you look for any chance, any opportunity, and you take it. So I did. A nurse came in to check Tyler's vital signs. He needs rest, she said firmly. You all can come back later. Before everyone left, John pulled out his phone. Tyler, would it be okay if I posted a photo? Just to let everyone know you're safe? Millions of people have been following your story. They've been sharing your graffiti, looking for you, praying for you. Tyler looked at his mother, who nodded. Okay. John took a photo of Tyler with his mother and sister, all of them together, all of them smiling through tears. He posted it to his social media with a simple caption, Tyler Matthews is safe. This brave young man saved himself through art, intelligence, and refusing to give up. Thank you to everyone who shared his story and helped bring him home. Tyler, you're a hero. The post went viral within minutes. Millions of people who had followed the story reacted with joy and relief. The hashtag Echo47 became a trending topic again, but this time with celebrations instead of desperate searches. Outside Tyler's hospital room, Sarah pulled John aside. Thank you for staying, for using your platform. We might not have found him in time without the public attention you brought. Tyler saved himself, John said. I just made sure people were watching when he called for help. James approached with an update. Derek Castellano has been charged with kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault, and making terroristic threats. His lawyer tried to claim mental illness, but the DA isn't buying it. Derek planned this. He researched Tyler, knew his schedule, prepared the warehouse. This was premeditated. Good, Sarah said firmly. He held a 17-year-old boy prisoner for 6 weeks. He deserves everything that's coming to him. Marcus had been quiet, looking at his laptop. Now he turned it around to show everyone. Tyler's Instagram is blowing up. His followers went from 300 to over 2 million in the past day. People are calling him the Morse code hero. They're sharing his old artwork, supporting him. Sarah smiled. He wanted to go to art school. I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities now. Inside the hospital room, Tyler was falling asleep, exhausted but safe. His mother sat beside him, holding his hand, refusing to let go. Mia curled up in a chair nearby, watching her brother with protective eyes. Tyler had survived 6 weeks in hell. He had stayed smart, stayed brave, and found a way to scream for help in a voice only the careful listener could hear. His grandfather's lessons in Morse code, learned as a child, had saved his life. His artistic talent had turned desperation into communication. His refusal to give up had brought him home. The graffiti pieces remained on the warehouse walls for now, evidence in a criminal case. But they were more than evidence. They were proof that hope exists even in the darkest places, that intelligence and courage can overcome evil, that sometimes art can save a life. Tyler Matthews, Echo47, had written his own rescue story, one spray-painted message at a time, and the world had been listening. 3 weeks after his rescue, Tyler Matthews sat in a comfortable therapy office in downtown Portland. Dr. Linda Foster, a trauma specialist who worked with kidnapping victims, sat across from him. Tyler's mother waited outside in the reception area. How are you sleeping? Dr. Foster asked gently. Tyler looked at his hands. He'd gained back some weight. The bruises had faded, but the emotional scars were still fresh. Better, I don't wake up as much anymore. The first week home, I'd wake up every hour thinking I was still in that basement. That's normal after what you experienced. Your brain needs time to understand that you're safe now. Dr. Foster made notes. Have you been drawing? Yeah, actually more than before. It helps. Tyler pulled out his phone and showed her photos. I've been working on a series. About survival. About finding light in dark places. The images showed powerful artwork. Abstract pieces that somehow captured fear, hope, desperation, and strength all at once. They were beautiful and haunting. These are remarkable, Tyler. Have you thought about what you want to do with them? Cena suggested I do an exhibition. Use the attention my story got to raise awareness about missing people. About how to recognize signs when someone needs help. Tyler paused. I want something good to come from what happened to me. Dr. Foster smiled. That's a very healthy way to process trauma. Turning pain into purpose. That afternoon, Tyler met with Detective Sarah Mitchell at a coffee shop near his house. Sarah had been checking on him regularly, making sure he was adjusting. She'd become protective of Tyler, this brave kid who had impressed her with his courage and intelligence. "How's the therapy going?" Sarah asked over hot chocolate. Tyler didn't drink coffee. "It's helping. Dr. Foster is really good. She doesn't try to tell me how I should feel. She just lets me talk." Tyler stirred his drink. "How's the case against Derek?" "Strong, extremely strong. He's looking at 25 to 30 years in prison. His lawyer tried to cut a deal, but the DA refused. What Derek did to you was premeditated, sustained, and cruel. He's going away for a long time." Tyler nodded slowly. "Good. I know I'm supposed to forgive and move on, but I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll never be. He took 6 weeks of my life. He terrified me and my family. He made my little sister cry herself to sleep every night. Tyler, you don't have to forgive him. Not now, maybe not ever. What matters is that you heal, that you take back your life." Sarah leaned forward. "And from what I've seen, you're doing exactly that." The media attention on Tyler's story hadn't faded. News outlets wanted interviews. Documentary producers wanted to tell his story. Publishers wanted book deals. It was overwhelming, but Jennifer Matthews and Sarah had helped Tyler navigate it carefully. Tyler agreed to one major interview with a national news program. He wanted to tell his story in his own words once and then try to move forward with his life. The interview aired on a Friday evening in early December. Millions of people watched Tyler Matthews sitting calmly in his living room explain what had happened to him. "I want people to understand that I survived because of things my grandfather taught me," Tyler said on camera. "Morse code, problem solving, never giving up. He died 2 years ago, but his lessons saved my life. I think about that every day." The interviewer asked about the graffiti. Tyler explained his thought process, how he realized he couldn't escape physically, so he tried to escape through messages, how he hoped someone would see his art and understand. "I knew it was a long shot. Graffiti in abandoned places? Who's going to see that? But I had to try. I couldn't just sit there and wait for someone to rescue me. I had to rescue myself as much as I could." When the interviewer asked about John Cena's involvement, Tyler's face lit up. "John saved me. Not physically, but he made people pay attention. He took my story and amplified it to millions of people. Without him, those graffiti pieces might still be sitting unnoticed on warehouse walls. He cared about a kid he'd never met. That's real heroism." The interview ended with Tyler showing some of his new artwork, pieces about survival, hope, and fighting back. The response was overwhelming. Art schools from across the country reached out with scholarship offers. Galleries wanted to display his work. But Tyler had already decided what he wanted to do. 2 weeks later, on a cold December evening, the Portland Art Museum hosted a special exhibition. The title, displayed in large letters at the entrance, read, "Echo 47 Finding Voice in Silence." The gallery was packed. Local community members, art enthusiasts, media, and people who had followed Tyler's story online filled the space. Jennifer and Mia stood near the entrance, greeting people. Marcus Chen, the street art blogger who had first contacted police about the graffiti, had helped Tyler organize the exhibition. The centerpiece of the exhibition was the actual graffiti pieces. The warehouse walls had been carefully removed and preserved as evidence. After Derek's trial concluded, they were released to Tyler. He had them mounted and displayed with explanations of the Morse code and color cryptography hidden in each piece. But the exhibition also included new work. Tyler had created a dozen pieces specifically for this show. Each one told part of his story: fear, isolation, hope, determination, survival. They were powerful and moving. Several people in the gallery wiped away tears as they walked through. All proceeds from the exhibition would go to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Tyler had insisted on this. He wanted his experience to help other families searching for missing loved ones. John Cena arrived at the exhibition opening with his security team. The crowd parted as he entered and then applauded. John had kept his promise to Tyler. He'd stayed in touch, video calling weekly, checking on Tyler's recovery. They'd developed a real friendship. Tyler saw John and immediately walked over. They embraced like old friends. "You came," Tyler said. "Of course I came. I told you I would." John looked around at the exhibition. "Tyler, this is incredible. Your work is amazing. Thank you for everything, Tyler said quietly, for using your platform, for staying in touch, for caring. You didn't have to do any of that. Yes, I did. You inspired me, Tyler. You showed the world what courage really looks like. How could I not be part of that? Sarah Mitchell was there too, along with James Rodriguez and Dr. Elena Rodriguez. The team that had found Tyler stood together, proud of this young man who had saved himself. Marcus Chen was documenting everything for his blog, but also because he'd become friends with Tyler during the investigation. As the evening progressed, Tyler stood in the center of the gallery and spoke to the assembled crowd. His voice was steady, stronger than it had been 3 weeks ago. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for caring about my story. But tonight isn't just about me. It's about everyone who goes missing. Everyone who needs help but can't ask for it directly. It's about the families who never stop searching. He gestured to the graffiti pieces on display. These pieces were my voice when I couldn't speak. They were my hope when everything seemed hopeless. They were my connection to my grandfather who taught me to never give up. Tyler paused, emotional. I want this exhibition to remind people to pay attention, to look closer, to notice when something seems wrong. Detective Mitchell noticed unusual graffiti and investigated. Marcus Chen saw patterns that others missed. Dr. Rodriguez decoded messages hidden in colors. Cena amplified my story to millions of people. Every single person in that chain mattered. Every single person played a role in bringing me home. The crowd listened in complete silence. If there's one thing I want people to take from my story, it's this. Never stop fighting. Never stop hoping. And never stop looking for ways to call for help. Even when it seems like nobody's listening. Someone is always listening. You just have to find them. The applause was thunderous. People stood cheering for this brave 17-year-old who had turned his trauma into purpose. After the speech, a young girl approached Tyler shyly. She looked about 13 and her mother stood nearby. Tyler, I'm Amy. I wanted to thank you. My brother went missing 2 years ago. We never found him. But your story gave me hope. It reminded me that sometimes missing people do come home, that miracles can happen. Tyler knelt down to her level. I'm so sorry about your brother. I hope you find him. Don't give up hope. I won't, Amy said, tears in her eyes. Because of you, I won't. Moments like this happened throughout the evening. People sharing their stories of missing loved ones. People thanking Tyler for giving them hope. People inspired by his courage. Near the end of the evening, Jennifer Matthews stood with her son looking at the exhibition. Your grandfather would be so proud of you, Tyler. Everything he taught you, everything he believed in, you proved it all true. I miss him, Mom. I wish he could see this. He can see it, baby. Somehow I know he can. The exhibition ran for 3 months. It raised over $200,000 for missing children organizations. Tyler's story was featured in schools as an example of problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. Law enforcement agencies began training officers to look for unconventional distress signals. Inspired by Tyler's graffiti. 6 months after his rescue, Tyler started at the Pacific Northwest College of Art on a full scholarship. Cena's foundation had arranged for all his education expenses to be covered. Tyler studied fine arts and communication, learning to use his gift for visual storytelling to help others. Derek Castellano was convicted on all charges in March 2025. He received 30 years in prison with no possibility of parole. At the sentencing, Tyler read a victim impact statement. He spoke calmly about the trauma Derek had caused, but also about how he had survived and grown stronger. Derek Castellano tried to take my life from me. He tried to break me, to isolate me, to make me disappear, but he failed. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still creating. He took 6 weeks from me, but I'm taking back the rest of my life. The judge praised Tyler's courage before delivering the sentence. 1 year after his rescue, Tyler returned to the warehouse where he had been held. It was no longer a crime scene. The city had purchased the property and was converting it into a community art center. Tyler had been asked to create the first mural on the outside wall. He stood in front of the blank wall with spray paint, the same brand he'd used for his desperate messages a year ago. But this time he wasn't trapped. This time he was free. This time he was creating art not as a distress signal, but as a celebration of survival. The mural took him 3 days to complete. It showed a bird breaking free from a cage, Morse code hidden in the design spelling hope. At the bottom, he signed it not with Echo 47 but with his full name. Tyler Matthews, artist, survivor. Voice for the voiceless. John Cena flew in for the mural's unveiling. The community gathered, news cameras captured the moment, and Tyler stood in front of his artwork with pride. A year ago, I used this wall to scream for help. Today, I'm using it to show that healing is possible. That survival is possible. That hope is always possible, even in the darkest places. Sarah Mitchell stood in the crowd watching Tyler. She thought about that day in October when she first noticed unusual graffiti on her computer screen. How her instincts told her something was wrong. How she trusted those instincts and refused to give up. Tyler Matthews had saved himself through intelligence, courage, and art. But the community had saved him too by paying attention, by caring, by refusing to look away from signs that something was wrong. The story of Echo 47 became a reminder that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're 17-year-old kids with spray paint and Morse code, fighting for survival one message at a time. Sometimes they're detectives who trust their instincts. Sometimes they're celebrities who use their platform for good. Sometimes they're bloggers who notice patterns others miss. And sometimes, heroes are the people who simply pay attention when someone calls for help, no matter how quiet or unconventional that call might be. Tyler Matthews, Echo 47, had found his voice in silence, and the world had listened.